This is Josiah Plays Torment, Tides of Numenera. Alright, we just walked into the Dendra Oher Chapel. We're going to talk to all these crazy cannibals. You can inspect all the things. There's quite a lot of skull business going on over here. A lot of skullduggery. MA 6200, please keep us updated on your water situation. Yeah, I'll try. Let's see. Right now I've got 2 bottles of water here. All right. One of them is a 1-liter bottle with a big, huge piece of frozen ice in it. Frozen ice. It's got to specify that it's frozen ice, not just normal ice. Big, huge piece of ice in it and some water. And the other one is a smaller bottle from the Yosemite Mountaineering School that I don't know exactly how big this bottle is, but it's smaller than a liter. It does not have a whole liter. It's got a pretty big piece of ice in it too, and a decent amount of water, but I've drank about a quarter of the water that's in it. So, that's the water situation currently. I'm drinking some more water right now. Okay. We're down to about half of the water that's currently in the smaller bottle. Well, if you count ice as being water, because technically it is, right? Then there's a lot more water than that. I mean water that's in liquid form right now. There's also a big amount of ice in there. Apparently the city's a moral sewer. Alright. You like how you're only really getting to know them after you let these guys eat you. Hey, I'm adventurous. What can I say? I'm adventurous. Sometimes in life when people say, can I eat you? You just have to say yes. Fuck it. Alright. Let's look at some stuff in here. Accounting for sublimation? I don't know. I don't even know what that is, honestly. A teenage girl lies dead on this slab. Most of her bones are shattered, suggesting that she fell from a great height.
Yes.
Oh no. I wonder if she suicided out of the suicide tunnel. The corpse of an elderly man lies under the shroud. His face is peaceful, and you see no obvious cause of his death, so maybe he died of natural causes, as they say.
How did you fall into the criminal life, Matkina?
One step at a time, Aligern. Just like everyone else. Intentions don't mean skist.
You and I have more in common than I thought. Sure enough.
The water doesn't come from the Yosemite, rather it's just tap water strained through Yosemite Sam's mustache. Duh. Right. Well, I think that almost went without saying. This altar is made entirely of human bones, with a carved skeletal head mounted above. Live maggots wriggle in its empty eye sockets. Okay. These people. These fucking people.
Right.
You had me until the live maggots. This corpse is in a wretched state, its head and limbs crushed to pulp, with bits of wood and debris embedded in the skin.
Let's go.
What do we have going on here?
On it.
A strong aroma of charred flesh rises from the dingy cloth over this corpse. Let's lift the shroud. Yoltot.
Making a note.
You carefully move the shroud to the side. There's no way around it. This dead man was a cast-off, and it would be hard for him to be deader. His flesh is papery, desiccated. His tattoo, or rather the charred remains of it, has burned through his skin and into the bone beneath. And of course, there is the matter of his charred eye sockets and his horrified, gaping mouth. Parts of the corpse are missing, remnants of an aborted Dendra feast. You aren't surprised they stopped. Wow, they didn't even want to eat him, he's so fucked up. Let's examine again. Again, your eyes are drawn to the remnants of the cast-off's tattoo. It looks like it burst into flame when he died, burning right through his skin into the skull beneath. I think this is the guy that was killed by the sorrow, that Zeofi the sculptor was trying to sculpt. We just need to figure out his name. Let's touch the tattoo, because why not?
I'm ready to learn something new.
Oh, I took damage. That's why not. Hey, but I leveled up. Well, that's pretty funny. Leveled up from taking damage from touching a tattoo. The last thing you remember before your fingertip grazes the tattoo is a rising buzz. Time stutters and breaks. Panting softly, you awaken, leaning against the bier for support. Your arm burns, your temples throb, and white static claws at the corners of your vision. Someone was screaming in that lightless, timeless void. You remember that much, but it wasn't you. None of the Dendra are looking your way. Took 2 damage, gained 2 XP. Alright. I wonder about something.
What do you need?
Can he? He can. He can use his healing ability out of combat. That's pretty cool.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's advance. Alright, so it looks like the only thing I can take is extra effort since I've already taken each of the other advancements. Increasing your max effort level will allow you to spend more effort when performing tasks, going from 2 to 3.
I'm stronger now.
Now I'm tier 2 and I can choose one of these 2 abilities apparently. Dealmaker, plus 5% shins earned from selling items, minus 5% cost when buying items. You have a keen eye for a bargain. Shopkeepers dread your coming. Or inspiring presence. Your steady leadership and ability to keep calm in danger is contagious. Your friends and allies can count on you to guide them to victory. You and allies within short range gain inspired at all times. Oh shit. This is way better than the fucking shopping power. 5% on all tasks and 5% to defenses. Me and my whole fucking team get this shit. Hell yeah, we're gonna take inspiring presence all day. All day. You won't stand for such anti-Yosemitism. See what you did there. I think we'll eventually become an edgelord. We'll become a proper edgelord. Oh boy. Now I get to choose an actual Jack ability. That other ability was for my Brandishes of Silver Tongue focus. This is an ability for my class, and look how many of them there are. Alright, trained without armor. Who needs armor? It's slow and cumbersome, and that extra weight might just get you killed. You prefer speed and mobility anyway. Extra evasion and willpower when wearing no armor or light armor. Okay, it's a passive. Resourceful. Extra cipher use skill. You know how to handle your ciphers and store them properly. Practiced in armor. Armor's weight means little to you. While others rattle and stumble, you move through battle with calm assurance. Reduces the penalties that you normally get from wearing heavier armor. We know about Sucker Punch because other characters have had it. And we have it on an item, I think. Warp Dash. Alright, so Matkina has this power. I guess it's okay, but I'm not that thrilled about it. Illusory Warrior sounds cool. Focusing on a point in the battlefield, you summon a glowing ethereal being that whispers in your opponent's ears, distracting them. Costs 2 intellect. Summons a psychic construct that helps you flank. Oh. One use per crisis. Alright, that's pretty cool. Charm. You know I'm going to take Charm. Cut the games. Make an ally of someone who stands in your way. Tap into your secret powers and change their minds for them. 3 intellect. Automatically succeed on the next persuasion, deception, or intimidation task. Trained without armor is tempting. Illusory Warriors kind of tempting. I already have Sucker Punch because I have an item that gives me that skill. Resourceful. Wouldn't hurt either. An extra cipher? I mean, how badly do I really need charm? I'm already pretty good at charm tasks. And now I have to spend 3 intellect to even use this thing. Which would be 2 for me because of my edge, but still. I don't think I should take charm. I think I should take trained without armor or resourceful. Hold on. I want to cancel out of this. Can I? No, I can't. Alright, fine. Or illusory warrior. I don't care that much about that either, honestly. No armor or light armor. I mean, I think the armor I'm wearing is light armor. I'm going to take resourceful. Because you can never really go wrong with another cipher, right? Because ciphers are pretty good. So I'm going to take resourceful. And then finally I get to choose a skill to increase. Because I'm a jack, they get a skill increase at every level, which the other classes don't get. So I think I'm going to go Anamnesis, because that comes up a lot. Cipher use, again, wouldn't be bad. I could make my Persuasion or Deception even better. So it's either going to go into Persuasion or Deception. Probably Persuasion out of those two, honestly. I think Persuasion comes up more often than Deception does. Or Anamnesis. Or Endurance gives you extra health. But no, I think I'm going to get Anamnesis. Because this one does come up a lot. This is the one for accessing the memories of previous consciousnesses.
Just what I needed.
And we have Inspiring Present. Oh, look, see, everybody's got the little inspired thing on them now. +5. Her evasion's got to be sick by now. 70%. Anybody that tries to attack her gets a -70% to their chance to hit. That's great. That's really good. Alright. Illusory warrior in the heart of Numenera, stolen from the Reef of Worlds. Served as a midwife to a robot girl. Blessed by the sight out. I think I just made a typo. What? Wait.
You won't notice I'm gone.
Is that the sound effect of everybody being inspired?
Consider it done.
Are we going to constantly have that sound now everywhere we go? Seriously?
I'll handle it.
That's, kind of lame.
I'm ready.
Alright, let's see what else is in here. This corpse has been partially eaten, gnawed by human teeth. The body cavity is splayed open and most of the organs are gone.
Go.
Under the cloth lies the corpse of a man in dirty, mismatched armor. He appears to have been stabbed dozens of times. A plump, middle-aged woman lies upon the slab. Her head has been stripped of flesh. Her eyes placed neatly on the slab beside it. Oh, that's good. At least they're being tidy. The bed of this old pushcart is stained with blood and other more unpleasant things. This pushcart holds the emaciated corpse of a pauper. His toes and fingers have been chewed to the bone.
One moment, and it's done.
Okay, hold on. Just a damn minute. Just a damn minute. It really is going to make that sound effect all the time from now on, isn't it? Dude, I don't want to be that inspiring. I don't want to be so inspiring that it makes noise. That is really way too inspiring. Fuck my life. Alright, we've got some people to talk to here. Devourer of Wrongs, Gazay, Kayatawa, Mallet, and Mbitu. Talk to Mbitu first. I think he's the leader. Ah, our restless corpse. Mbitu beams at you, clasping his skeletal hands together like a tangle of twigs. Such a curiosity. I don't think I can deal with that. I don't think I can deal with it. Nope. I can't deal with it. If it's gonna do that shit constantly, hold on. We can't have that. Why in the name of God would they do that? Why would they put a permanent sound effect on there like that that's super annoying, that plays all the time? Even when you're reading dialogue and stuff. Wait! It's gone. Okay. Whew. Thank you. I was gonna have to reload my save and not choose that, because that was no fucking bueno. Ah, our restless corpse. Mbitu beams at you, clasping his skeletal hands together like a tangle of twigs. Such a curiosity you are. What did you learn from eating my flesh? One of those questions I can't say I've ever asked anybody in real life, but I wish I had. Quite a bit, he says cheerily, then grimaces. Too much, in fact. Your immortal flesh proves slightly too rich for some of my children. Pats his belly. I have quite a bit more experience and fortitude than them, however. For me, it is merely overwhelming rather than explosive. I shall endeavor to tell you what I have learned, but I fear it may not be as clear as you would hope. It always takes a while to digest. He stifles a giggle. The information contained in just one life. Your body contained countless wonders. We will be decades absorbing them all. He sighs. In other words, my interpretation may sound somewhat unfinished, unclear, mystical. He pronounces the last word with distaste. But I would happily share these visions with you. Merely... Wow. The game is attacking me. I'm gonna drink some water, hold on. Water situation. Small bottle down to 1/5 of liquid form water. Large bottle untouched. Merely ask. Share a vision with me. Of course, he says and closes his eyes. Teetering gently, he draws a long, smooth breath. He hates the bed, this prison that holds her. He growls, and his voice is scarcely his own. His cheerful brow contorts. He swears words in tearful haste, and wears them like jewels in a crown for centuries, even long after they have lost their luster and their purpose. So this is some pretty cryptic shit. No problem, MA6200. I got you covered. And B2 opens his eyes, beaming. Didn't hear a word of it, he says.
but it felt fascinating. I hope it was helpful, and do come back if you want to hear more.
Of course I want to hear more.
Share another vision with me.
And B2 closes his eyes and begins to speak.
He regrets the first one he leaves behind. The next, less so. Soon they are falling like leaves to be crunched underfoot, and by then he has begun telling himself it is not only necessary, but good.
And B2 recoils and opens his eyes.
That's all for now, I'm afraid.
Share another vision with me. Closes his eyes and begins to speak.
Each year brings him closer to his goals. Each year brings her closer to him. Her of the long arms and the bruised blood. Her that loved the tides first and holds dominion over them. Her that hollows, burns, and kills.
So that must be the sorrow. That's the her. He absent-mindedly wipes a line of sweat from his withered forehead.
Her breath is on your neck. The long race is done and you have lost.
And B2's eyes pop open.
Was it of any help? It certainly felt dire. I do hope it wasn't bad news.
His eyes flutter for a moment.
I'm afraid that the visions get rather more fragmented from here.
Share another vision with me. Closes his eyes and begins to speak.
Doors. 3 doors. All of them belong to your greatest enemies.
Share another vision with me.
Gather the ones he scattered. Gather the seeds and the husks. You will never see every level of the labyrinth, and that is good.
His eyes open again.
That's it. Everything else is a muddle for now. Can you come back in, say, a year or so?
Okay, so we're out of visions. All of the visions were pretty cryptic, but knowing these people that made this game, considering it's supposed to be like Torment, I bet every one of these visions has a real meaning. These remind me of the kind of the prophetic stuff that Dianara says to you in the early part of Planescape Torment, where she basically tells you the whole plot of the game and everything that's going to happen, but she tells you in such a cryptic way that at the time you don't know what it means. I imagine these things are all very relevant and will probably make more sense the second time you play this through. Tell me about your cult.
We worship the great queen, Sa Lavun, Lady of Maggots, goddess of entropy, and guardian of the empty barrier,
He says, then pauses, tapping a muddy tooth thoughtfully.
Though worship is the wrong word, perhaps.
He points to the altar nearby. It displays a skull with flat, unforgiving eyes buried in its hollow sockets.
She waits on the other side of death, with her billions of squirming children. They devour whatever passes into their realm, and rightfully so. Everyone must eat.
His eyes twinkle fondly.
But whatever she and her children eat is lost forever. And so the Dendra Ohur work to preserve the minds and the mysteries of mortals before death claims them. We hold their shrill little thoughts in our minds and let them tumble around as they will.
He shivers.
It feels marvelous.
So you could have just told me you're a bunch of creepy-ass edgelords. I have some questions about the Dendra Ohur.
Lovely, he says. This may surprise you, but we rarely get curious visitors. Most people seem quite nervous about us.
He wets his cracked lips and awaits your questions with polite interest. Water time. Alright, smaller bottle is now empty of liquid water. Still has a massive chunk of ice in it, which will melt down into water over time, because that is how ice works. In case you didn't know, Josiah's Science Explanation stream. Water, frozen into ice, when not in a cold environment, melts back into water. Liquid water. The other bottle, though, is totally full, and it's the larger 1 liter bottle. Alright, what do I want to ask about this cult? What is the purpose of the Dendra Uhur again?
We preserve the knowledge and memories, even the consciousness of mortals before they pass into the realm of the great Queen Sar Lavun and are lost forever.
What does your cult's name mean, anyway? The old man's eyes dart from side to side, and he leans in.
Nobody knows,
He whispers, delighted.
It's a mystery. Isn't that wonderful?
How long have the Dendra Uhur existed?
Centuries,
He declares.
though how many I couldn't say. We aren't devoted to paper records as you might imagine. We prefer keeping them in our heads.
He runs his tongue along the edge of his rotting teeth.
Also, and this is slightly embarrassing, none of us managed to eat our founder. He simply disappeared one day. Can you imagine?
Oh, their founder was the Changing God, right? The Changing God basically founded and created everything in this world. Or he was a cast-off of the Changing God. Calling it now. Who founded your cult?
A man named Melmoth Leviarm, he says and sighs. I do wish one of us had managed to eat him.
In before I meet this Melmoth Leviarm in some form in this game. I want to talk about something else.
Oh,
He says, clearly disappointed.
very well.
Tell me about yourself.
Oh, there isn't much to tell. I've spent most of my years in this little chapel,
He says, casting a fond look around.
The Dendra Uhur has rather consumed my life. Get it? Consumed? Because we eat the dead? Consumed, you see? It's a joke. You're not laughing. You can't get it through your thick skull. Your sense of humor is dead? Never mind.
Why did you join the Dendra Uhur?
Well, that is a good question. A very good question. I congratulate you on asking it.
He rubs his hands together with a papery sound. Sound effects. Boom. Taking this stream to the next level.
I cannot tell you much. Outsiders rarely understand what calls us to the Dendra Uhur, but you have kind eyes, and so I will tell you that it was kindness. Beyond that, however, I cannot answer. My apologies.
That's a strange answer. Okay. I want to know more about what drew you to the Dendra Uhur.
And I would love to tell you,
He says, and it is clear that he would.
but the full answer is rather tangled in the mysteries of our order. I simply cannot indulge you. Again, my apologies.
I want to talk about something else.
On to more interesting topics than an old man's past,
He says, flashing a stained grin.
Lovely.
A sculptor told me that your people may have found a man killed by a strange creature.
Yes, he says. I believe I know the poor man. Dry as a leaf, hollow as an eggshell. Barely any mind left in there at all.
He clucks his tongue.
Inspect him at your leisure. He's the one with the charred skin on his brow.
Yeah, that's the one I already
I'll
inspected.
remember that.
Now, I don't know much more about him, he says, chuckling, though I can assure you we plumbed the depths of his mind and body for answers. But I seem to recall seeing him before. Possibly not through my eyes, mind you. In Cliff's Edge, he was coming out of a building near the chirurgical parlor.
Well, that's interesting. Stolpen, hello, welcome. How you doing, Stolpen?
I'm helping Folsom investigate some trouble in the underbelly. Can I ask you some questions? Of course, he says. And do tell Folsom hello from me. We are dear friends.
He raises a finger.
Well, he frowns more than I smile, but we do have a grand time whenever we meet, which is often.
Tell me about the Children of the Endless Gate. The smile falls from Mbitu's face.
I hope you are not asking for the reason I think you are, he says. They began as a branch of the Dendra Ohur that was more impatient in their appetites.
His lip twitches like the memory of a snarl.
Years ago, my sisters and brothers and I chased them from the city and erased their names from every record, or thought we had.
Thanks, Stolpen. I'm doing good, and I am enjoying the game very much so far.
Perhaps,
he says, turning troubled eyes on his acolytes.
No. This is the first time I've spoken of the Endless Gate in years. They cannot possibly be involved.
He takes a deep breath and smiles at you again. It's like watching a wrinkled sun emerging from the clouds. Where were you when Folsom's protege was killed?
Ah, he says, excited. I have quite an amazing alibi. Is that how you say it? Alibi?
He draws himself up and sets his jaw sternly like a caricature of justice itself.
I was with Folsom the entire night. He can tell you as much.
I'll remember that.
He leans in close to whisper in your ear.
I've promised Folsom I wouldn't tell anyone how he helps with things. You'll need to ask him if you want to know more.
He winks and stands back.
So, as you can see, I'm beyond suspicion.
Water. Got about 9/10 of the liquid water left in the big bottle. Just for you, MA6200. Hashtag the water update. I have evidence that the Dendra Ohur are involved. Can I speak with your acolytes?
Making a note.
Oh my, he says. I suppose you have my permission. Do be gentle with them.
He flashes his teeth at you.
If they deserve it, of course.
Do you think any of the other Dendra Ohur could be capable of murder?
Certainly not,
he declares, then pauses.
Well, they do come and go as they please, hunting for bodies left in the gutters like broken leaves.
He smiles mistily up at the air, as though reminded of his younger years.
The devourer of wrongs was standing vigil these last few days, but any of the others could be responsible, I suppose.
He runs his eyes across them, humming a fretful little memory.
Oh dear, he says. They really are a suspicious lot, aren't they? Mallet enjoys hurting people. Kiatawa tells her little lies. And Gazay, well, she's quite unique.
He seems as pleased at this as though he accomplished her uniqueness himself.
All in all, they're a horrifying bunch, aren't they? I really hadn't noticed before.
Which of your acolytes might be capable of murder again?
All of them except the devourer of wrongs, he says, shrugging. They're a fairly nasty bunch, I'm afraid. Our lifestyle doesn't draw the cream of society like it used to.
He gestures at his acolytes.
Talk to them yourself. You'll see what I mean. All of them have their secrets, but they do love spilling them if you help them along.
He frowns thoughtfully, ticking his fingers.
Josiah is quite willing to share her hopelessly barbaric, but quite marvelous, philosophies if you press her hard enough. Kiatawa holds her secrets close, but plays with her hair when she's hiding something. And our dear Mallet cannot seem to abandon the grudges from his old life.
Alright, see you when you get back, Saito. Alright, that was actually some pretty helpful information. I'm done talking about my investigation for now.
So soon?
He says, folding his hands.
Very well.
Farewell.
Farewell. Take care. Take great care.
Alright, well, we talked to him. So one of these three is probably the murderer. Let's talk to Devourer of Wrongs first, since he's not one of the suspects at this point. The Devourer of Wrongs seems larger down here than it did in daylight. Its head nearly brushes the roof of the chapel. As before, you cannot tell if it is looking at you. It doesn't even seem to be breathing. What is your role in the city's executions again?
I eat the dead and learn the details of their crimes through the memories that are bound within their flesh.
Impitu says I can ask you about the murder of Folsom's protege, Weedle.
Good.
It rumbles at once, as though it had been waiting for the news.
I would have the murderer caught, and caught quickly. It angers me that all of this transpired while I was attending to Riss.
Despite the statement, the creature's voice is as placid as a subterranean pond.
I assume you are here because one of the Dendra O'Hur is suspected of being the murderer. I will tell you what I know. I have known Impitu through many minds. He is subtle, clever, and untrustworthy. He is also no murderer.
It casually clenches a gloved fist.
That leaves the other three. They are all capable of the crime. Mallet is ambitious and desires revenge. Kiatawa sneaks plots and keeps secrets. Gazay is not human and does not define murder as we do.
The creature's fist falls to its side once more.
Talk to them. Search for holes in their stories. These will lead you to the truth.
Which of the Dendra O'Hur do you think is responsible for the murder of Folsom's protege?
Mallet, Gazay, or Kiatawa could be the murderer. Question them and look for falsehoods. These will lead you to the truth.
Clenching a gloved fist. We got a gloved fist clencher here. Farewell. He nods. Alright, Gazay, Kiatawa, and Mallet.
Sure.
Talk to this, fellow named Mallet. He's just a fellow named Mallet. Okay. The burly man sneers at you, flexing massive scarred hands that could easily encircle your throat. His tongue probes his stained, sharpened teeth, and a short, blood-stained club swings from a hook at his waist. This guy seems like a nice fellow.
What you doing back here, shield meat?
He says.
Gonna share some more of that tender flesh?
He chuckles long and low. Mallet, Tabir mutters through a frozen grin. This numb slab beat his partner to death over 2 shins. Why did you join the Dendra O'Hur? I used to do work for Folsom, he says with a grimace. Muscle work, you know. Money was good, but Folsom kept giving me little jobs, giving the best stuff to his protégés. He curls his lip. Then I saw the Dendra O'Hur, saw the way people respect them, even if you could break most of them in half with 2 hands. I thought that maybe there was room for a man to grow here. He grins. I was right.
Why did you join the Dendra O'Hur again?
Got tired of working in Folsom's shadow, he says. Sick of taking orders from him and hearing people laugh behind my back. And don't think I don't recognize you, he adds, looking over at Tabir. I remember you, and what you did. What I did? Tabir says, scratching his jaw. What I did? Oh, you're talking about how I told everyone you killed your partner for less than the cost of dinner? He smiles, but his eyes are cold. I'd do it again, and for free. Doesn't matter, Mallet shrugs. None of that stuff matters anymore. This is my place now.
Imbitu gave me permission to ask you about the murder of Folsom's protege, Weedle.
Is that right?
He says, glancing at Imbitu. The leader of the Dendra O'Hur gives him a small nod.
Yeah, all right, he says. Ask your questions for all the good it'll do you.
Did you know Weedle?
Huh, he says. Yeah, I knew him. Glad to hear he's dead.
He chuckles.
He was smart and knew it. Always looking down on the rest of us. Always ordering people around with Folsom looking on, smiling.
He snorts.
But if you're thinking I chopped him, I didn't. I was getting drunk in a corner of the manufactory.
He grins nastily,
wondering what all the screaming was about.
He did have motive.
Updated my journal.
You know who you should ask,
he says, leaning in.
Kiyatawa. I saw her hunched over some corpse in an alley all by herself. Doesn't matter what the meat is, people who eat on their own always got something to hide.
He nods at the other cultist.
And Gaze's one to watch too. She ain't like you or me. She's a mutant, and not one of the nicer ones.
Who do you suspect again?
Kiyatawa or Gaze. They're both hiding something.
He chortles.
Compared to them, I'm an open book. And like I said, I was getting drunk in the manufactory when Weedle was doing the last of his lovely screaming.
No, Mallet, no. Tabir sighs. You've never seen an open book in your life. I wouldn't even wager you've read a cover.
Maybe not, Mallet says, scowling. But you might want to keep your mouth shut. Someone's been killing smartasses.
Oh shit, he just went there. I want to talk to you about your eating habits.
Is that right?
He says, scratching one of his sharpened teeth.
Not much of a mystery there. I eat people. I like it.
He shrugs.
If that doesn't answer your question, go on and ask.
How many corpses have you eaten?
You mean besides you, sure meat?
He says, chortling. He looks way too guilty. He does seem pretty guilty.
Can't give you the exact number, he says. You eat what's given to you here. But at least one time at midnight, I was out on my own and found a corpse lying beneath a stack of rusty metal. Someone just left him there to rot.
He shakes his head. Perception tells me his expression of mock regret barely masks his smile.
Maybe I'll go for another walk tonight, he muses. Can't help wondering what else I'll find hidden under things.
How many bodies have you eaten out in the city again? His expression of mock regret barely masks his smile. Doesn't eating human flesh bother you?
Bother? No, bother ain't the right word.
He rubs the back of his neck.
You think you're gonna mind the taste, but you don't. The part I don't like is that memories from the person you eat end up in your head. And you can't make 'em shut up. The four of us ate this Skalark. Not a fancy one, but one with old robes. Kiyotawa was talking about some words she kept hearing after. He scowls. I didn't get a word. I saw a memory of his when I was picking him out of my teeth. He was lying in bed, dying maybe, waiting for his son to come see him. His eyes kept closing, and his son never came. Shakes his head like a beast trying to dislodge a biting insect. Not that I saw, anyway. And that's from just one meal. Perception. His eyes flicker away from you, and for a brief moment you see the fear in his eyes. The helplessness. Maybe he doesn't actually want to be here doing this. Fear and helplessness. Why do you eat corpses if it troubles you so much? It doesn't trouble me, he growls, but his voice is shaking. Just ain't easy. But it'll get better. Look at Mbitu, he's been doing this a long time. Glance at Mbitu. The elderly head of the Dendra Ohur waves and gives you a huge, rotten grin. I want to ask about something else. Yeah, I'll bet you do. Have you ever heard of something called the Endless Gate? No, he says. Strange name, though. If it don't end, it ain't much of a gate, is it? It's more of a hallway. He's got a point. It's more of a hallway, he said. You're sure you don't know anything about the Endless Gate? No, he says, frowning. I told you. Tell me what you think about the other members of your family. Family, he repeats. Huh, good one. I'd trust my brother over this bunch, and he tried to cut my throat when I was 5. He clucks his tongue. Go on and ask your questions. What are your opinions on Mbitu? He's all right, Mallet says. Got half the city scared of him and the other half bringing him meat. Not bad for an old man who smiles at everyone and never raises his voice. What's your opinion on Mbitu again? He scares people, Mallet says. I respect that. What do you think of Gazay? Gazay's a monster, he says, shaking his head. Less than human and more than a beast. I've seen her take a corpse's face off with a swipe of those claws and tuck it into her mouth like pan bread. Didn't stop until the body was gone down to the last drop of blood. He bites his upper lip, drawing ribbons of blood. Talk to Gazay if you want. Figure her out. Me, I keep my distance. What do you think of Gazay again? Gazay's a monster, and I keep my distance, he says. How do you feel about Kiyotawa? He opens his mouth to respond, closes it, thinking. Something's wrong with her, he says finally. And I ain't stupid. I know how that sounds coming from me. Just something's broken in her, and it's always getting worse. You feel eyes on you. You glance around in time to see Kiyotawa look away. She's listening. How do you feel about Kiyotawa again? Don't like her, he says. Don't trust her. Something's wrong in her head. I have some other questions. Finished asking about the murderer. All right, he says, smirking. I'd wish you luck, but I don't want to waste it. Farewell. Yeah, see you later. Poultice, what are you, a cop trying to catch me in a lie? Well, in this instance, I am basically like a cop. Investigating a murder. These guys have pretty cool looking robes, actually. You get in here and take a look. They're pretty crazy looking. They're like the Dustmen from Planescape Torment. Alright. Up next, Kiatawa. This woman watches you, measuring every step, every twitch of your hands. Twitch. And yet there is no fear in her. Iron lines her spine and presses her mouth into a thin, even line. Surprised to see you back, she says. Her lips quirk into a brief smile. Surprised to see you standing at all. Not many corpses we eat end up on their feet again. At we, her gaze flicks to the other Dendra Uhura and she frowns. You want something? You seem unhappy here. No one asked what you think, she snaps. Leave me alone. Then she chuckles. It's not a happy sound. I'm being selfish, aren't I? You let us eat you. Let us into your head. You don't deserve the edge of my tongue for asking if I'm all right. She rubs an eye with the heel of her hand. Fine. I'm not happy here. I want to go. Satisfied? Looks more like they wear armor on the upper body and robe on the lower body. Yeah, it does look like armor. Why aren't you happy in the Dendra Uhura? Keep your voice down, she says, closing her eyes. Her hand slips wearily from her hairline down her neck. I thought this was a place I could settle. For a while I was sure. Could have known better. I don't last long in groups. Couldn't even stand my family. Was better off on my own, even though... She trails off. Your family abandoned you? No, she says. Her eyes flare open. I abandoned them, and it wasn't my real family. I knew that even then. I don't remember much about my parents. She piles scorn on the word. They were butchers, and they had me helping in their shop just about as soon as I could walk. Every night I wouldn't so much sleep as black out, and I started having the same dream over and over. A smile steals over her face. It was a light. He told me that I was his daughter, that he was sorry he'd left me, but he'd had no choice, and that he'd find me again someday. What does this have to do with the Dendra Uhura? I'll tell you, she says. Just be quiet and listen. She rubs her face with both hands. I ran away, she says finally. Made my way. Not much to tell there, or much I want to tell. Just that the dreams kept coming. She grimaces. I woke from one of them a year ago to see Imbitu, our leader, at my side. He told me I'd been calling to someone in my sleep. Said he'd help me find my father. Her lip twists. So I joined. Ate a few corpses, but nothing got clearer, and he's never spoken about it since. He, and the rest of them, only care about the next meal. You're angry with Imbitu. I don't like being lied to, she says, eyes flat with frustration. He promised answers when I joined him and his cult. Maybe he promised too much, or maybe he just forgot, but it's a lie either way. Tell me more about the dream you keep having. It's almost always the same, she says, rubbing her forehead. The man, my father, calls to me, or someone I'm supposed to become, as if he won't come for me until I become that woman. She shakes her head. And that's another reason I joined. I kept hearing her, a young woman's voice, telling me who I should be. I thought filling my mind with other people's memories would drown her out. Her shoulders leap in silent, bitter laughter. Didn't work out that way. Why don't you leave the Dendra if you're unhappy? I'm going to, she promises, with a dark look at her family. I've already been here too long. Why did you join the Dendra Uhura again? To find the man who speaks to me in my dreams, she says. My father. I have questions about something else. Fine, ask. I want to know more about you. This just leads back to... Imbitu says I can ask you about the murder of Folsom's protege. Yeah? She says, looking over at the old man. He nods. Good. Have to say I'm not surprised the murderer's trail led you in here. What do you want to know? And we will continue to question Hiatawa and find out what she knows about the murders and if she is indeed the murderer in our next episode. If you're watching the stream, don't go anywhere because I am not done streaming. And I think it might be time to give away a copy of the game, because it looks like my viewers are just going down. I don't know that they're going to go back up to any higher level after this, so probably should just do the giveaway. So, if you're watching on YouTube, though, I'm going to do it for this episode. So thank you for watching. This has been Josiah Plays Torment, Tides of Numenera.